So, what makes a company truly legendary? For Toyota, the answer isn't just about the cars they build, but how they build them. We're about to dive into what's called the Toyota Way. And it's this revolutionary philosophy that didn't just shake up the auto industry, it basically reshaped how we think about manufacturing itself. Okay, let's just start with a result that speaks for itself. Check this out. Most car companies, right, they take 2, maybe 3 years to design a brand new car. Toyota's system? It lets them do it in 12 months or less. Now, this isn't just a small improvement. This is a massive, massive competitive advantage. It's the kind of thing that makes everyone else stop and ask. So, what is their secret? You gotta wonder, right? How are they pulling this off? Is it some kind of secret technology they keep under lock and key? Well, the answer is actually a lot simpler and, way more profound than that.
Yeah, the Toyota way wasn't cooked up in some comfy, air-conditioned boardroom. It was actually forged in the tough reality of post-war Japan. We're talking a time of scarce resources, a small market. They just couldn't afford the big, wasteful mass production systems that their American competitors were using. They had to be smarter, they had to be leaner, really just to survive. Necessity really was the mother of invention here.
And this brings us right to the first core pillar of their whole system, a totally different philosophy of value. And it all boils down to one powerful idea: relentlessly, and I mean relentlessly, eliminating anything and everything that doesn't add value for the customer. In Japan, they have a word for this: muda. Now, muda means waste, but it's a very specific type of waste. It's any activity that eats up your time, your money, your resources, but creates absolutely zero value from the customer's perspective. I mean, think about that. If the customer isn't willing to pay for it, it's muda. It's that simple.
And Toyota got super specific about this. They didn't just leave it as a vague concept. They identified 8 distinct types of waste. We're talking about the obvious stuff, like defects or people just waiting around, but also the more subtle things like moving parts around more than you need to. But look at that last one: unused employee creativity. Toyota realized that one of the biggest wastes of all is to not use the brains of the people on your own team.
But of all these wastes, Toyota considers one of them to be the root of all evil, the big one, and that's overproduction. Just making something before it's actually needed. It might feel productive to keep all the machines running and everybody busy, but Toyota figured out this is actually the most dangerous waste of them all.
And this quote right here just nails why. When you overproduce, you create these mountains of inventory, and all that stuff has to be stored and managed and moved around. But worse, that inventory hides other problems, like defects. I mean, if you've got weeks of extra parts just sitting there, why would you rush to fix a quality problem right now? It just kills the urgency to improve. So, if the philosophy is all about eliminating waste, the second pillar is about the actual process they built to make it happen. It's a system that's designed to let value flow smoothly, without interruption, all the way to the customer.
Now, this slide is really interesting because it shows the huge contrast. See, traditional mass production is what we call a push system. You make these huge batches of stuff based on a forecast, stick it in a warehouse, and then try to push it onto your customers. Toyota completely flipped that on its head with a pull system. Nothing gets made until a real customer actually places an order. That order then sends a signal all the way back up the line to make exactly what's needed and not one piece more. This is that famous idea of just-in-time, or JIT. And get this, the inspiration for this brilliant idea was wonderfully simple: an American supermarket. Seriously. Kishiro Toyota saw how shelves were only restocked after a customer bought something. It's a perfect pull system. You only replace what's been used, just in the nick of time. The other key part of the process is something called jidoka, or automation with a human touch. The big idea here is to build machines that are smart enough to spot a problem and then stop themselves, automatically. This is a game changer. It means you stop making defects the second they happen. Quality isn't something you check for at the end. It's literally built into every single step. So, when you combine just-in-time with jidoka, you get this beautiful, continuous one-piece flow. And because there's almost no extra inventory lying around, any problem, a bad part, a broken machine, brings the whole line to a stop. This sounds bad, but it's actually great. It creates a mini crisis that forces you to find an immediate, permanent solution. Problems have nowhere to hide. Okay, so we've got the philosophy of eliminating waste and a process built for flow. But that brings us to the final, and you could argue the most important pillar. You can have the best systems in the world, but they are totally useless without the right culture. At Toyota, the real secret ingredient It isn't the machines, it's the people. And the engine of this culture is kaizen. It's this deep belief in continuous, small, incremental improvements. And this is not just a suggestion box on the wall. It's a system where every single employee, from the person on the assembly line all the way to the CEO, is seen as a problem solver. They're empowered and, frankly, expected to make their own work better every single day.
And a perfect example of this empowerment is the 5 whys technique. It's so simple, but it's totally brilliant. When a problem happens, you don't just put a Band-Aid on it. You ask, why did it happen? And then you ask why that happened. You just keep digging, asking why about 5 times, until you get past the symptoms and uncover the actual root cause of the problem. That way, you can fix it for good.
There's another core principle here, especially for leaders, and it's called Genchi Genbutsu, which basically translates to go and see for yourself. The idea is simple. You can't solve a problem from behind a desk just looking at a report. Leaders are expected to go to the gemba, the actual place where the work happens, to observe, to understand the reality of a situation with their own 2 eyes before they make a decision.
And this quote really sums it all up, doesn't it? Toyota believes that if you're making decisions based on secondhand information, your decisions are probably going to be flawed. Real effective leadership can only come from a deep, first-hand understanding of what's actually going on.
So, let's pull all this together. What is the ultimate lesson from the Toyota way? Well, it's that these principles, they're about so much more than just building cars. They really are a universal mindset for achieving excellence. And this right here is the most critical thing to get. So many companies have tried to copy Toyota. They implement tools like just-in-time. They run kaizen workshops, but they usually fail. And why? Because they miss the whole point. You can't just copy the tools. You have to adopt the underlying mindset, the deep culture that actually makes those tools work.
Ultimately, the Toyota way is about building a true learning organization. It's a culture that's fueled by this powerful cycle, Hansei, which is this relentless self-reflection to find problems, and kaizen, that relentless drive to fix them. It's a process of learning and growing that just never, ever stops.
And you know, that really leaves us with a final thought. This isn't just for giant corporations. These principles of identifying and eliminating waste, of finding that muda, can be applied literally anywhere. So the question to you is, where is the wasted effort, the unnecessary complexity, or the hidden inefficiency in your own work, or maybe even in your daily life?